Hi everyone, this is a tutorial for your first homework assignment in my stat lab. Okay, well since I have already done the homework in a previous recording, your interface is going to look just a little bit different than mine, but we can go into homework here. I'm going to select chapter 1 homework, and because I did it before, it's saying I can either review and practice or I can improve my score. I'm going to select improve my score just so we can go through and do it fresh together. And here I'm just going to go in and select similar question for each of these things because I've already gone through and done it. So we'll go through it fresh. So identifying the type of data, qualitative versus quantitative, and the average weight in pounds of a sample of rocks collected in the waters of a region. So here it's asking me for the average weight in pounds. So that's going to be quantitative, and because it's those numerical values that are being used to describe the data. Just go ahead and select quantitative. You can check your answer. And then it's going to ask me for the level of measurement. So in weight, measurement, height, anything that can be directly measured, it's usually going to be ratio because we have a 0 point that has meaning. So if something weighs 0 pounds, that's a meaningful point, whereas temperature, on the other hand, if the temperature is 0, it doesn't necessarily mean that temperature ceases to exist. So when we're measuring something like in weight or height, ratio is usually going to be the answer. Okay, now again here I'm just going to go through and select similar question. Identify the type of data and the level of measurement. So copyright years. In this case, the years, it's actually something that's going to be, it is qualitative or quantitative because it's numerical values that are being used to describe that particular data. When we think about the level of measurement, you may be tempted to indicate ratio because in this particular case, copyright years could be interpreted a couple different ways. So it could be the year that it was copyrighted or the number of years it has been copyrighted. So if the former, the year that it was copyrighted, I would go ahead and say that that is interval. However, if it's the number of years that it's been copyrighted, ratio would be the correct answer. They are thinking about the year of the copyright. This one's a little bit. Number of pages in a book. That's definitely quantitative, right? Because numerical values. And you have to think, is there a true 0 point? If there's 0 pages in a book, that would mean it ceases to exist. So identifying the type of data here. The number of points scored by a team in a game of baseball. Definitely quantitative. And in this case, differences in data can be meaningful measures, and the data have a true 0 point. So they could very well not score any points. Let's just quickly look at this one. The table to the right shows the speakers during a certain electronics order in 2009. Identify the data as time series or cross-sectional. So in this case, it's across different years, and the speaker price does change across time. So it is time series because it's measured across time. Let's do a similar question here. Oh, that's the same, the same question. So it is time series because the data are measured over time. In this case, we've got different years and different print sizes. So cross-sectional data here and multiple year data here. So in this case, the time series data are the two columns. If I was to isolate just this column with this column, it would have one section, multiple years. And so that's why the time series data are the two columns, because the show value is taken from cross years. Let's look at a similar one. Identify the cross-sectional data in the table. In this case, it's going to be the rows, because if I isolate just each row, it's giving me 1 year, multiple sections. So the cross-sectional data are the 5 rows because they show data taken from a number of subjects in a single year. These are always good to practice. A study has concluded the average credit debt has increased from 2009 to 2010. This is inferential because it's talking about a specific population, and specifically two samples from population. The population of students, college grads in 2009 versus 2010. Let's look at a similar question. On a website that sells books, the average rating of a certain statistics books by 33 reviewers is less than the average rating by 33 reviewers of a history book on that same website. We have to ask ourselves, is this talking about a population or is this referring to samples? It's saying that 33 reviewers, that's a sample. So it's going to actually be the descriptive statistics, because it's just describing each of the samples. Just because one rating is greater than the other doesn't mean it's inferential, because it's not making a claim about a population. So descriptive, because it's summarizing information in the two samples. The average viewer in country A watches fewer hours of TV a month this year versus last year. This is inferential because it's saying, making an inference about the viewership in country A. So it's making a claim about the population. Let's look at a similar one. The average viewer in country A watches fewer hours of TV a month than the average viewer in country B. This, again, is inferential because it's making a claim about these two populations, viewership in country A versus that in country B. And the average rating of a certain book by 25 viewers is 4.7 on a scale of 1 to 5. This, again, is descriptive statistics. It's summarizing the information on the sample of 25 viewers. It's simply saying that the average rating in that sample is 4.7. A certain website sold an average of 80 books per day last week. Again, descriptive. This is just a sample. It's not saying anything about a population of websites. And lastly, let's take a look at a sample of 750 viewers in country A. Showed that viewers watch fewer hours of TV a month on average than a sample of 750 viewers in country B. This is descriptive. Just because it says country A versus country B doesn't mean it's inferential. We're just talking about the samples of 750 viewers in each of those countries and determining whether or not that sample's average viewership is larger or smaller than another sample. So again, descriptive. Let's look at a similar question. A sample of 100 viewers in country A showed that the viewers watch more hours of TV a month on average than a sample of 100 viewers in country B. Again, descriptive. It's just summarizing that information on the two samples. Okay, so when you are done with Chapter 1 homework, you can go ahead and save it. And as I showed you here, it'll save your score. You need to select OK. If you want to go back in and review it for the quizzes or for the tests, you can go back in and review and practice or improve your score. Reviewing and practice will not change your score, and that's fine. And here, what you can do is select, as I showed you in this video, the similar question, and then go on and practice from there. Okay, good job.